What up, y'all? Welcome to Try's World Podcast. It's April 19th after personal tax season has closed. So hopefully everybody's filed their personal taxes or an extension. It's Sunday, April 19th again. And yeah, I don't have many notes. Just a market recap. I guess Bieber went well again last night. I guess he was more interactive with the crowd. Got in the crowd. Billie Eilish got to fangirl and live out her childhood dreams. Forgot she's even famous. You know you're famous when even famous people start feeling like they're small in comparison to you. It's kind of like the Lakers in LA. They are considered stars and celebrities to the celebrities. Pretty big star if you're doing that type of stuff. So congrats to, I guess, Billie Eilish. It just seems like the rich gets richer right there. Happy for her. Yeah, I mean, Billie Eilish and Justin Bieber, and then I guess a fan inappropriately was reaching and got Justin's leg or something like that. But it's like he's interacting with this crowd and even pulled in a hand. I've seen the podcasters jumping all over the girl who may have touched Justin a little too low, I guess, on his thigh, which, that's unfortunate. That's why typically, right, you don't want to jump into the crowd. You just never know. I mean, they're at the rails. They're his most rabid fans. I'm not saying that what that girl did was okay, but that's why you don't do that. As a really super famous celebrity, sometimes you forget how famous you are. And then people who are just super fans and you don't know what's going through their mind. They're obsessed with you all their life, and they have an image in their head of you that may or may not match reality, and they finally get a chance. They're going to take it. In some sense, I don't blame her. At the same time, I'm like, if Justin's going to get into the crowd like that, it's a risk. He's got his most rabid fans are at the rail. So, and he was at the rail and kind of hugging and doing all that and getting involved with the fans. I'm not saying there's some unexpected things. I guess I'd be surprised if a girl didn't try that. Or somebody didn't try that who's like a super duper fan who's lined up at the rails, who probably lined up like 5 hours, 6 hours earlier. I would be surprised if nobody tried anything. And so I'm sure Justin knew like what he was getting into to a certain extent. And, I don't know. Yeah. She was already kind of grabbing low on his belly and then went even lower when he didn't really move her hand away initially. So I'd say, yeah, I wouldn't fault the girl too much and sit here and, protect Justin. I don't know if it's necessary for the internet to go so crazy or over that. But that's just my take on it. We don't know if that was on purpose or not. And again, I don't know why the internet's so good at like pointing things out like that and then just like it overshadows the whole thing. And it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know if that's part of, I don't know why there's a tendency for people on the internet to just focus on that. It's just maybe it obviously gets clicks. It's getting a lot of views. It's getting a lot of clicks. And yeah, to me, you can't expect, like I said, you can't expect perfection. You jump into the crowd like that with your most rabid fans. Things happen, and that's the unfortunate thing. And I wouldn't feel too bad for him, so yeah, I feel bad for Haley, maybe. I don't feel bad for Justin, but that's how guys think sometimes. And if you look at a lot of Justin's clips, he's a very like flirtatious dude, So this is what he does. So I think he kind of knew what he might be getting into, and like I said, I'd be surprised if somebody didn't try that, and I'm sure he knew full well what might happen. Unfortunately, it got close to happening. I don't think it happened, or else I think he would have moved her hand away more forcefully. But I'm a little surprised at how focused the internet gets on like one thing potentially going wrong like that. And for some reason it overshadows the Billie Eilish thing, which for those of you who don't know, she's like a super, super Justin Bieber fan, like obsessed, and like wanted to get famous just to like get Justin's attention, all this stuff. She's a super fan, and she's like incredibly famous herself now. But yeah, there are clips of her saying she loves Justin Bieber and all this stuff, and like literally loves him. And so for her to get that chance is pretty cool. And so I don't know why And the internet's got some of that focus too. It's just interesting how like they're literally trying to get this girl's name now. So, but anyhow, yeah, I'm almost wondering if these people just feel like they're Justin Bieber's gatekeepers or like protectors or like culture protectors. I have no idea, but I think it's taking it too far to say she purposely tried to like assault him and things like that. That's pretty serious. And I guess from my perspective, I was like, I didn't really see it. You could see her like getting close, but I mean, if anybody knows the male anatomy, it's like the leg is like a leg, you know what I mean? And so she touched his leg, and so is that too close? That's questionable for sure. But to sit here and say like she purposely tried to like go too low and all this stuff, I think that's taking it a little bit too far. But another cultural moment. And then, he continued on the theme. I guess I didn't get a chance to watch it because I had already watched it. And I did watch DJ Snake and his trap set with RL Grime and Flostradamus, I guess his name is. I thought that was cool. I ended up watching the Knock 2 DJ Snake back to back. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that one was cool. They brought out ISO, played his jam. And yeah, I mean, it was, I thought Cascades was better, to be quite honest. I mean, I thought Cascade set was way better. I thought David Guetta's set was way better. To be fair, DJ Snake's been out of the game for a while. I guess he's been sick, has had health issues or something. So, but other than that, markets, we're at all-time highs again. I don't think anybody would have thought this, and that's why I've been preaching patience and to stay invested. And you just don't know how things will turn, and now things are looking bad again. The Strait of Hormuz was open, now it's closed again, and you just don't know what's going to happen. But it does seem like the ceasefire is a little tenuous, but there seems to be dialogue, and that's taking place. And then, of course, with the strait closed again, or threatened to be closed, of course, the president's threatening to hit civilian infrastructure at this point. So, oil's dropped a lot. I think, I don't know, maybe it'll rally again now that ships aren't allowed to go through the strait. I read a Wall Street Journal article that the president was surprised that the strait could be such a pain point and be controlled by drones. There doesn't need to be a lot of military might behind making that the Strait of Hormuz a pinch point. And Iran has successfully done that with very little resources. And so it's absolutely concerning, just because, I mean, that article wasn't a very glowing article from the Wall Street Journal. I mean, it just seems to point out, who knows? I mean, it's pointing out some flaws in Trump's seemingly unstrategic approach, and how half the stuff he says is sometimes to scare Iran. I mean, I guess my point, the ultimate point for investors is to keep a long-term outlook. I've been saying it. I think it's been good advice. I think anybody who's taken that advice since the beginning of the year, since the beginning of the start of the beginning of the year and the start of the Iran war, has done really well considering the circumstances. Markets are volatile. That's what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't sit here and get too caught up in the ups and downs of the market and what the president's going to say next, what military action we're going to take next, what military action Iran may take next, or Israel. And I mean, all this is ultimately, it's about values, stock market values and things like that. And for a passive investor, I've said it many times, you could check out some of my old podcasts, but same thing. For active investors, same thing. It's if you feel like you found an undervalued investment and it continues to go down, of course, check it, and you don't have to doubt yourself necessarily, but double check your thesis, and if it's still solid, then you invest more. That's the whole point. Yeah. I mean, we're not fortune tellers. I mean, there is studies that show how economists literally are, especially forecasters, they're wrong a lot of times, and the accuracy of their predictions is not accurate. So next time you hear a forecaster, an economic forecaster, or a stock market forecaster saying, the market's going to do this, that, and this in the short run, just know that they're probably wrong. I mean, who's right, who's typically right, and who typically does well is folks with a longer term forecast. If you invest long run and you have a long term outlook, I think that's the best way. That's the best way to do well, and the long term is much more predictable than the short run. So just continue to stay long-term focused. And then other than that, I got this, I keep seeing these memes of this clavicular guy and looks maxing and hammering your face. And I mean, I get it. I mean, in terms of, no, I actually don't get what he's doing. I think he's putting out junk. There's so many people who put out junk for views and clicks, and it is what it is. My whole thing there, I get where he's coming from in terms of like the vanity. I mean, it's easy for him to say. I mean, he looks, I guess he's known for his looks apparently, and it's easy for him to say, hey, do this and this and you'll look like me, which a lot of what he has, I feel like, is natural and genetic, and it's just silly to try to mold yourself into something that most people get naturally. But I think one thing he is highlighting is, I think he's almost trying to normalize, like trying to look beautiful for a man. I don't see anything wrong with that. Necessarily, I'm not hating on the fact that he thinks good looks matter for a man. They matter for women, why don't they matter for men? And if it doesn't matter, why not? And I guess he's trying to change the culture in terms of that. For me, my opinion on that is, I've seen people's facial structures and faces change. And this happens with women too, like just by like staying fit, like going to the gym and staying fit and keeping the fat off. It's healthy, and I've seen people look better just, going to the gym and working out, which is one of whatever Clavicular's, I guess, one of the things he encourages people to do is go to the gym. So I'd say, so that's my only focus. I mean, I don't think that has to do with ultimately, I don't know if that has anything to do with looks as much as, because there was a point in time where, and there's certain cultures too that still think that women with extra weight is attractive. So the beauty standards change. I think the point is people tend to be attracted to, at the core base of it, it's about maximizing your gene pool and your children's chances of doing well and things like that. And a fit person, presumably, will have, I think, a better quality of life, a longer life, be able to take care of, and I don't know, just protect, and things like that, and take care of things around the house a lot better, and it's about longevity too, and so now, I mean, now we know, obesity it's a major problem in America. So I think that's why beauty standards have changed to be more fit and go to the gym and things like that. So, I mean, it hasn't always been the case, and so now you got the Tate brothers going on and saying that, beauty standards don't matter as much for men. You got to go. These alpha males can get away with not looking good. They can just build big buildings and do all this stuff and still be attractive. Clavicular is controversial in saying, no, looks matter, and I guess they call it a pretty pass. For looking good and looking cute, you get a pass on things. Pretty privilege. You get privileges for looking attractive. Okay, so I don't doubt that, especially in certain industries. Like Clavicular was getting interviewed by a 60 Minutes guy, and he was just like, well, would you have gotten this role had you not been good looking, basically? And the 60 Minutes correspondent was like, yeah, I mean, I think I would have. And so, I mean, the thing is, this guy has got a big following, this Clavicular guy. You got to wonder why to a certain extent. And the looks maxing thing, certain proportions and things like that, I think that's going too far. But I think that what he's ultimately saying is looks matter. And because look at me, I mean, I'm rich and famous, and I mean, you gotta understand, like, behind that is he's also pushing his agenda and obviously maximizing what was definitely natural for him in terms of genetics and things like that, and looking good to the opposite gender, and he's obviously fully maxing that out. And again, it's just everybody has a bias, and that's his bias, and he doesn't run away from it because it's made him rich and famous. So, and then he's like, well, this is why I'm rich and famous, because I'm ridiculously good looking, like Zoolander. I don't know if y'all have watched that movie, but it's about male models, and it's a whole joke behind, like, he should watch that. I mean, and then he should hit the blue steel and then have a personality. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that can make a person attractive. My thing has always been, a physical fitness, just because I grew up playing sports. I mean, y'all saw me. I'm back in the gym shooting hoops because I'm 41, by the way, and I mean, I've always imagined myself, like, if I need to go play a pickup game or wanted to go play a pickup game or shoot hoops, I wanted to be in shape to where I could, and I still can. I'm out there and I'm shooting hoops, and I did pretty well. But I grew up And that was my first love, is basketball. It's not breaking. It's like, it's not anything. We had a hoop in front of our house, and I remember I was out there shooting for hours and hours. I'd go to the Kenneth Park, shoot for hours and hours. Kenneth Park was near my home in Carmichael, where I grew up, and just shoot for hours and hours. And it was therapeutic. So not only does it have, like, I think, health benefits, I think it has kind of real world benefits as well, in terms of allowing people to stay in shape. And I think that's one of the best ways to, I guess, look healthy and attractive and just live a life that's, and you got to maintain it too. I mean, I think my worst injury was a shoulder injury, and I had just come back from Vietnam, and I was playing in a kind of a basketball rec league, and that's when I injured my shoulder. But that original injury was through weightlifting. I was lifting too much and didn't have proper form. But I think had I continued to weightlift, honestly, if I came back from Vietnam and had continued to weightlift, I wouldn't have been injured so badly when I was playing basketball. Because, I hit there. I was so skinny and had no muscle mass, and so I hit down on the ball, and this really big dude pulled up on the ball and just popped my shoulder out. I mean, back in the day, I hit down and that ball comes flying out. So I just didn't have. I wasn't even in shape, and I was out there playing. So anyway, I try to keep in shape now, and I really enjoy shooting hoops and kind of being out there shooting hoops. And then, weightlifting, and I made a post about it. I still lift using all the same basically lifts that I did in high school. I mean, I took a basketball and weights class, and I still use a lot of those weight lifts that I had in high school now. I mean, that's where I first learned to weightlift. So yeah, and I've continued it ever since, and mainly because I don't feel comfortable like doing lifts that I've never done before. But I've changed it up too. It's just the focus is still shoulders, triceps, legs, especially legs. Legs in basketball is huge. Legs in I feel like all sports is huge, and people just, I don't know, they just forget about their legs. Like, I totally get the big old weightlifters that go in there and lift weights to get big and attractive. It's just, I don't know if that'll motivate that. I don't know if that motivates me. Like, if I just went in the gym just to get super big and whatever, it's not fun for me. If I go out there, and I lift, and I know there's a purpose. But it's funny because I hadn't shot for years. But it felt good going out there. I just, you may see me in a pickup game, but I try to stay away from those. If I do run, at least I got a jump shot. I've always had a jump shot, and that's kind of enough to keep me out of the lane. That's not where I want to be at my age, is driving hard to the lane. But, if I have a jump shot, I can shoot off the dribble. I can shoot off the pass. I think I can still hoop. And I had always imagined myself doing that. And so, I had some family who wanted to, go shoot hoops and go on a run. And that's why I've been shooting a little bit. But yeah, I've always imagined myself playing for as long as possible, playing basketball for as long as possible. And so I guess what I'm saying is I encourage people to stay physically active. And I feel like that alone will improve your mental health, improve your physical health. And I think it'll even improve your appearance. People could tell on your face when you're carrying extra weight, Like, when I started losing weight, because I was up there, because I'm 5'7", and I'm 5'6" and change, but I've got like scoliosis in my back. I was carrying too many heavy books as a kid, so my back's kind of bent out of shape. But so I'm 5'6" and change, but I say I'm 5'7", because it's really close to 5'7", and I was almost at 160 at one point at 5'7", so I was just putting on weight because I thought I could work it off. And then at a certain age, you just don't have the time, or I didn't have the time to sit there and work it into muscle. And I was like, as a young person, you're always like trying to gain weight, and I had a really fast metabolism, so I could never gain the weight that I wanted. And then all of a sudden I'm like gaining the weight, but I'm older. So, and then COVID hit, and I was like 35 at that time. And so I was still like decently young, but I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't lifting. And so I just got back into it few years back, and I just realized how much my body slowed down. So, but yeah, I started losing the weight because I wasn't working it off, and it was just extra weight. And my dad was like, "Hey, what's wrong with your face?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, like, right here or something like that." And I was like, "Oh, you know what I mean?" Because I got these um, sort of skin tags from the sun. It's really common in my family. It's nothing. It's these skin tags. So I was like, "Oh, you mean these skin tags?" And he's like, "Nah." And he's like, "What's going on right there?" And I was like, "Oh, that's my cheekbone." I hadn't seen my cheekbones for so many years. So, but the point is, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is genetic. Whatever looks are genetic, and I think it's how you view yourself too. I mean, I've always felt like my advantage has always been my mind, and so that's most humans' advantages over any animal in the animal kingdom. The being has an incredible mind, and so I've always felt like that's my advantage. That's what I've really relied on as to get me through a lot of situations. And it's just a strange topic, but it's gotten a lot of attention, and I don't necessarily want. I think it's how you like. The best way to put it is I think it's who you attract. Like Clavicular's audience is all like vain people, probably, that just pay attention to his looks, and so he just capitalizes on it by saying, "Hey, all you need is looks like me to be famous." But there's plenty of people who are smart. Like there's plenty of people who are attractive for many different reasons, and I've always encourage people to not just go to the gym, but you can work on your mind, work on your hobbies, like, I mean, you find like-minded people at that point. So like if you're really into skateboarding, you got really good at that, you probably have a community that sees your skills and likes you for that. And so you want people to like you for who you are. I'm a strong believer in being who you are, and yeah, and if Clavicular thinks like people only like him for his looks, and he's just got to keep looks maxing by hammering his own face in, and so be it. It's kind of I would say that's a very superficial and vain way to go about living your life, because you want deeper connections. You want people who love you for who you are, not just what you look like and some superficial trait. I mean, it's just as easy for a rich person or something. Well, he's wealthy too, but he believes that he probably believes that he's wealthy because of his looks, sadly. But that may be true. He may be like, he could probably model and make money off it. So, I mean, it is what it is. Some people were blessed with that, but to sit there and evangelize it and create this community of men who are beating themselves up to look a certain proportion and do all that, I think it's so unhealthy. It's so superficial, very vain, and I think it's everything that's bad about the internet. So, and unfortunately, this dude is like a meme. I mean, his whatever philosophy is like getting a lot of views and clicks. But this is why I encourage people to, especially young people, to, I mean, be discerning in terms of what you read and digest on the internet. Think independently. Think for yourself. Don't let anybody sort of tell you what is beautiful. I mean, there's so many forms of beauty. I would say it even applies to women. I've seen very incredibly, probably beautiful women who are terrible people in one way or another. So, I mean, it can make you unattractive. Having, let's just say you're a person who can't be relied upon, or you're doing, you're doing bad things to people constantly. I think that can affect how people view you. So, for example, Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos founder, now in prison. I wouldn't say she's particularly like unattractive. I think some people would even think she looks decent. I mean, I think that's how she became such a charismatic figure and was able to attract so much capital with having absolutely no product behind Theranos. And ultimately, it failed because there was nothing behind it. And she's in prison now. And I doubt many men think she's that attractive. Maybe they do, but I think they found her probably, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think there's a lot that goes into attraction, and as a lot of people say, and I found out in my older years, I'm not old, by the way, but old compared to 20 years ago, is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I really think that. I don't think there's a universal standard. And so if you painted yourself in a corner and you're like, I'm not beautiful because I don't look like this or like that, or I don't look like clavicular, I mean, turn that stuff off. I mean, it's that easy. I mean, the president's saying crazy stuff all the time that's driving you. Don't pay attention to it. I mean, it's really, really easy. I think I turn every time Donald Trump speaks, I turn it off now, except when it's supposed to be important. But then when he goes off in his own, the same talking points, and that's no longer information. It's just spinning things to sound a certain way. And there's nothing in it. There's no real information. I've learned that, and you just gotta turn it off and just understand that it's a bunch of nonsense. So whether you're getting that from the president, whether you're getting that from the internet, whether you're getting that from Clavicular, whether you're getting that from the Tate brothers, just know there is non-information out there that's just junk. That's just meant to paint the world in their prism. Clavicular is about beauty because he's kind of getting paid just for looking good. So everything revolves around beauty, right? And so I don't blame him, so for that, but just know that's a bias. Just know that that's not reality. And to ignore it if you see it in your feed. And to ignore him if you see him in your feed. If you scroll past it, you'll get less of it. Right? That's how I think the algorithm should work. A good algorithm should work. Or you could go in your actual algorithm and take it out. So you can manipulate your own algorithm. I haven't done that because I just scroll past things really quick that I don't like, and I see less of it. That's what I found out. So control your own algorithm, be independent, think for yourselves, and just know that not everybody, there's no single standard of beauty. I read Einstein's biography. Charlie Munger was a big fan of Einstein. But he lauds Einstein and gives him credit for, and I think Einstein ended up having other relationships after this one. But this particular one, he went for a girl who was in his engineering class, or I think his physics or science class. And she was one of the few girls in there, and she was very intelligent. And so Einstein was attracted to her intelligence, from my recollection. And so it works for women too. If you find the right people, if you're in your tribe, if you're in that community, then people will value for who you are, or who you want to be, or what you want people to value you for. So if it's intelligence, if it's your personality, this is for men and women. Then surround yourself with these people. Don't surround yourself with superficial people off the internet who are maybe influencers and just putting on, trying to get brand deals all day, stuff like that. I mean, but the point is, Charlie Munger, and he'll say it too. I mean, he's very straightforward. He's very cut the BS type of guy. And he's like, if you're smart, you'll, choose someone not just for superficial reasons. I'm not saying that beauty and brains are mutually exclusive. I've met plenty of beautiful women and beautiful people that are very, very intelligent. It's not mutually exclusive at all. There are people who get that petty privilege, but that can go against you as well. That can garner a lot of jealousy and actually impede, I think, sometimes people's perception of the person as intelligent and capable and all this stuff, which could go the opposite way. So it just depends, So petty privilege can help and hurt. And I think, you don't want to, I mean, it's just, I think it just depends on your environment. I mean, it's just, I really do believe in putting yourself out there the way you want to be perceived. Sometimes you're just, I guess, really attractive or something, and there's only so much you can do, I guess. But my point is, I remember when I was in college, I was in a fraternity that I ended up quitting, but we're having a party, and I was handing out flyers to people in office hours in front of a professor. In front of my calculus professor, and he got pissed. He's like, what are you doing? Don't use my office hours for that BS. And so there's an environment where, people should be focused on studying. People should be focused on academics. Why am I going in there, acting like a frat boy, right? Well, I was a frat boy, but it doesn't matter. Why was I, coming off that way in that environment? And, that taught me a lesson. I learned from that is there's a time and place to do certain things, to look a certain way, to be a certain way. So yeah, I mean, it's knowing your audience, reading the crowd, reading the room, and knowing when to accentuate certain parts of yourself and your personality and aspects of your life. So, and when not to. I mean, I think there are some celebrities who know how to go incognito. They know how to tone it down to where they're not attracting a bunch of attention for the wrong reasons. And so I'm not saying, yeah, I think just know your environment. Like, obviously, if you're going to a concert or stuff like that, it's like, do your thing. I mean, look as glamorous as you want, attract as much attention as you want, but maybe don't do it in my professor's office hours. He probably yell at you like he yelled at me. So I mean, these are lessons I learned early, I mean, thankfully, but I didn't forget that one. And I thought I deserved a better grade in his class, but since there are no participation grades in college, it'll sometimes show up in your academic grade. I believe. I strongly believe that. I know that happens. So, it still matters whether people like you even in college, your professors like you even in college. So it was just a lesson for me, and I think, yeah, a good lesson. Like if Clavicular comes in and starts, look smaxing on this professor, I don't think that would go very far. And so it's just, I'm just surprised that this is just a topic that's attracted so much attention. Maybe my feed is messed up, but he recently overdosed and it got a lot of attention because that's another part of his personality is like, doing a lot of, I guess, drugs. I mean, he passed out. I mean, he had to be taken to the hospital, but it got a lot of attention, and all of a sudden I'm starting to get in my feed a lot of other stuff. Well, the 60 Minutes interview, too, I guess. It attracted a lot of attention. And then this look smaxing thing, I keep hearing about it, and it's continued to pick up steam. So it's just, to me, it's just such an awkward topic because I can't believe, but there's a lot of things I can't believe. I can't believe there's this whole, and there's this influencer now in Sacramento looking to root out fraud and all this stuff that the administration has convinced people happens with frequency and all this stuff. So I guess it worked in Minnesota. They're doing it in California. Like legit, there's people who believe that, I talked to someone the other day, because this is pretty new, that this whole like root out the fraud, but there's people who believe like there's a homeless problem because of fraud in California. And I'm like, if I haven't heard of that. I mean, supposedly funds for the homeless are being misdirected and all this stuff. So I just haven't heard of it. It's just like Gavin Newsom's been posting about how he's been accused of like keeping water, like gatekeeping water, and there's a spigot that he can just turn on, and he's had to convince close friends that that's misinformation. Like people don't know the difference between like real and fake information, and they just there's no filter. Everything people see, and that's why it's just this whole AI slop that's getting out there. It looks even more real than ever, and so there's just even more misinformation, and just seems like whoever can win at this misinformation war and could sway reality to whatever they want it to be, and that's pretty scary. But yeah, I just I'm surprised that the information that people start digesting and really believing, no matter how ridiculous. But I also feel fortunate in that I wasn't very impressionable when I first started going on social media, which it was the invention of, was it MySpace, I guess, but it was really Facebook that got me into it. That was 20 years ago, and it was a hot thing because it was a college thing first. It was an Ivy League thing first. Then it got to all the colleges. Then it got to the general public. But it was like this exclusive thing to get invited to this network. And so Davis was finally included. And so everybody, of course, signed up. I'm thinking it was this hot thing. And it was for a really long time. But at that point, I wasn't as impressionable. And I just feel bad for kids nowadays. And you're seeing the lawsuits kind of flow in, accusing these social media platforms of, not protecting children. But my point is, I'm just glad that I wasn't as impressionable when social media was around. Yeah, I feel like I'm a lot more mature. I'm a lot more solid in my understanding of the world, and so I don't just take everything I believe like on the internet as truth. And so yeah, I'd encourage folks to be discerning in terms of what they digest. It's just surprising how much momentum something like smashing your bones gets. And so I thought it'd be just like something that kind of goes away, but it's just picked up steam. So yeah, I hope And it just sucks for people who are already insecure to read something like that. And I don't think that's going to help their insecurities. But anyhow, I've been going on for, an hour already. I'm going to edit this down. But yeah, playoffs. LeBron's still doing it at his age. Lakers take game 1. Warriors are now out of the playoffs. And yeah, I did watch the Warriors game. And yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's Steve Kerr said it is a fading dynasty, the Warriors. So yeah, Warriors are out. Yeah, playoffs just getting started, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I think I made a correct prediction last year that Shea would take it. And then this year, there's a lot of good Eastern Conference teams. I just think the Celtics depleted too much of their core, thinking that Jason Tatum would not be back. And then Jason Tatum's back. Pacers did the same thing, depleted everything, waiting for Tyrese to come back, which he'll be back next year. So I think the Celtics are still contenders in the East. The Knicks have shown an ability to beat the Spurs consistently. And I think the Knicks will get past the Celtics. Who's over in that East? Let me look. And then I got to get going, but let me see the rankings real quick. So yeah, the Pistons. Yeah, Pistons are good. They're just young. Cade came back from an injury. And they're looking pretty good. Who's number 1 in the East? The Pistons. And then I think the Celtics are going to be tough. The Knicks are going to be tough in the West. Thunder is still going to be tough. I don't think they can get past the Spurs. If they play the Spurs, they're going to be in trouble because the Spurs have been consistently beating them. The Nuggets are looking really good. They're leading the Timberwolves 1-0. I think I'm going to be wrong this year. But who's been beating the Spurs? Nobody in the West has been beating the Spurs. See, but if the Thunder play the Knicks, the Thunder will beat the Knicks. Because I think getting out of the East, it'll probably be the Knicks. They have a very strong chance. The Cavs are looking good because they just got an overhaul, but they may not have the chemistry. Celtics, I don't think will make it because it's just crazy how good they are. And that was without Jason Tatum. Now he's back. So could they make a run? Yes, but gosh, without Drew Holiday and Porzingis, I don't think they can beat the Thunder. So here's my prediction, right? If the Spurs get to the finals, I think an Eastern Conference team will likely take it. Just because the Spurs aren't that experienced and they've consistently lost against the Knicks. And I think, yeah. So if the Spurs make it, I think the Knicks take it. Just like what happened in the NBA Cup. Okay, so there's that. If the Spurs make it to the finals, I don't think they can beat the Knicks. If the Thunder make it to the finals, I think the Thunder would win again. I just don't think the Thunder's going to make it past the Spurs. So basically what I'm trying to say is I think the Knicks might take it. I would not be surprised if the Spurs take it, though. If the Thunder get past the Spurs, though, the Thunder will probably take it. That's my prediction. I have 3 predictions, just depending on the scenario. So I may have another prediction once the field narrows down. But in the early rounds, I think the favorite for me is going to have to be the Knicks. The sleeper is going to be the Spurs. Because I don't think anybody's betting on the Spurs. Just because they're so young. But they could do what the OKC did. They could win their first chip. So I think it's between, for me at least, the Spurs and the Knicks, if I really had to narrow it down. And I don't see the Spurs beating the Knicks unless there's some significant injuries. Yeah, so if there's injuries, I may have another prediction. But yeah, I think the Knicks could take it. I think the Knicks could take it this year. It's a possibility. The Knicks could take it. But if I had to pick one, I'd say the Knicks. So there it is. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great rest of the week. Stock market is at all-time highs. Congrats to those who were passively indexing like I have been recommending. All throughout the conflict since the beginning of the year, consistently I've been recommending folks not only stay invested, but continue to contribute to their plan, whether or not the market is up or down, if they're passively investing, which I recommend everybody do. And if you've done that, congratulations. So, not toot my own horn here, but I will give myself some credit and a little pat on the back. Who knows what'll happen next week? Already, the Strait of Hormuz is closed again, and ships are being routed back out, even though they were told to come, they could go through. They're being routed back out, so you may see oil rally again and do all this stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to predict. I'm going to be wrong if I predict. I'm just saying, have a long-term outlook. Don't pay attention to the headline noise. Don't pay attention to the volatility. Be a long-term investor. That's the best advice I can give. If you're a passive investor, continue to contribute the same percentage of your income every paycheck, whatever you can afford to invest for the long run. because that way, if it's the same percentage every interval, you end up buying more when it's down, when the market is down, and less when the market is up. So if you've been doing that all throughout this Iran conflict, guess what? You bought a bunch of stocks. Now, more stocks with that chunk of money that are now at, all-time highs. So, but again, who knows what'll happen next week? I wouldn't pay attention to that. I just, as a passive investor, you're spared a lot of that headache. And if you think you could be an active investor and you don't like the volatility, I think, again, this may not be the game for you. I mean, you may need to go back to invest, you may need to go to passive investing, or, have a financial advisor who can help keep you diversified and level-headed. So anyhow, aren't y'all happy investing? I hope you all are staying healthy, happy, and wealthy. All right, y'all.